Alright, and we're live. What up, what up? So today, just hanging out with Jackson, and today is December 1st, 2023. So you all know what that means. It's the first day of Advent of Code, uh, which is a delightful holiday coding challenge that happens every year. So I'm going to go ahead and tackle the very first challenge from day one here. What I'll go ahead and do is talk through the solution, how you could approach it, just from a pseudocoding perspective. But then I'll go ahead and show you how I would go about solving it, whipping up just a small application. I'll be showing you how I would write this in TypeScript, and how I might actually approach it from a test-driven development perspective using Jest. So, Jackson, anything, everything looking good on your end? Heck yeah! Thanks, man. And feel free to jump in and uh, again, these these Advent of Code challenges can be kind of goofy, so we can also kind of clown on it as well. Well, here, let's jump into it. So I have this challenge set up here. I'll go ahead and just kind of read through it, and there's some kind of backstory. So, but again, it's also kind of like it's like a word problem. So there's, they're gonna kind of try and throw us off the track for what's actually relevant from what we need to do from the computing standpoint. But life's about the journey, not the destination. All right, so let me jump in here. So day one, trebuchet. Uh, so here goes. Something is wrong with global snow production, and you've been selected to take a look. The elves have even given you a map. Again, we're talking about Santa's elves. I assume we've gotten recruited by Santaco to solve this problem. So apparently the elves. Again, this is set up for the this year's challenge. This is going to be kind of the story thread that goes through each of the ones for each day. So the elves have given me a map. On it, they used stars to mark the top 50 locations that are likely to be having problems. So, again, here we are in Advent of Code. Again, this is just a very first challenge. They always release the challenges at like midnight, so we got 4 more hours until day 2 gets released. So clock's ticking. Gotta figure out this day 1 challenge. So basically, again, the general story this year is that got to restore global snow production, and basically each day there's going to be a star as a reward. Basically, if I completed the challenge. So it's kind of like these elves are going to give me clues where to go to solve each problem at these different locations. So basically, I need to collect stars by solving puzzles. 2 puzzles will be made available on each day of the Advent calendar. The second puzzle is unlocked when you complete the first. Each puzzle grants 1 star. So they do kind of, it looks like this year they're kind of pairing them up in kind of 2-day. So, okay. So that's some of the backstory here. We've got to restore global snow production this year. And by the way, Jackson, can you see my screen all right? I can make this a little bit bigger. So yeah, pretty much, for first day, the elves are shipping us out to our first location. They're gonna send us there via trebuchet travel. Uh, not my first choice, but is what it is. Company expense for sure. Put it on the company card. But so again, what's happening today is we're trying to go to our first location, And they're setting us up to ship us out. But as they're making these adjustments, they discover that their calibration document, your first puzzle input, has been amended by a very young elf who is apparently just excited to show off their skills. So consequently, the elves are having trouble reading the values on the document. So this is our first actual challenge. That was all kind of fluff beforehand, but basically what we need to do is decipher this document having to do with this trebuchet configurations. So the newly improved calibration document consists of lines of text. Each line originally contained a specific calibration value that the elves now need to recover. On each line, the calibration value can be found by combining the first digit and the last digit in that order to form a single two-digit number. So this is an example of what that would look like. And what you have to kind of do with Advent of Code is once you create an account, they will actually, down here is where you can actually get the full sort of input that we'd be working with. So we can kind of imagine that, again, these elves, they gave me this big long document. Again, I'm gonna have to kind of compute this whole document would be by hand would be unrealistic. It's like a very long document, and again, it has numbers embedded in it, but they've been sort of scrambled up by just extra junk. So what we're gonna have to do is take in, at the end of it all, write a program that consumes this entire document, each line, and then computes all that data together to then give us one answer to submit here. So again, they give a little example right here. So again, these what we need to do is collect these digits that are on each line. So some of the lines might just have one digit. They might have no digits. They might have two. They may have more than two. They might have none. Or if we look at some of these lines as well, like it looks like some there's only digits. Some there's no digits. So again, kind of like the full range of possibilities that it could be. It's basically alphanumeric characters, any combination of alphanumeric characters. And what we're needed to decipher is first and last digit, combine them together into a two-digit number, and then take all those numbers from each and every line and sum them together. So again, down here, it says in this little mini example, calibration for these four lines are 12. Again, you can see 1 and the 2, 38, the 3 and the 8. It just embedded in there in some position in this alphanumeric string. 15, 1 and 5, 77. And then basically once we have that list of digits, actually just sum them together. So the final answer here would be 142. And that's what we would drop into this answer box. So what I'm going to have to do now is write a program that consumes this entire super long document that I just wouldn't be able to brute force and figure out a programming solution. Not too bad, right, Jackson? Not it's pretty much string manipulation and parsing. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to create a repo for this so I can keep track of all my solutions each day. So that'll just be just empty repo. I'll go ahead and clone it down and get started here. So here's my encodes folder. Grab this, git clone. But Jackson, any bright ideas right off the bat you're thinking? Yeah, so this is, so at this link, I could just copy and paste this into like a text file or just directly into my program as just like a big long string, something like that. So yeah, I was cooking up some ideas how I would approach that. I think here's kind of, let me write out, let me set this up real quick. So this is going to be my README just at like the root of the whole repo. We'll say advent of code solutions 2023. And I'm just going to make subdirectories in here. So we'll just call this day one. I'm going to make a README in here. I'm going to drop just this whole, just the text of this whole prompt, just for reference. But, so here's what I'm thinking. Here's kind of like my broad game plan that I'm thinking. So I think what I'm going to do is first I'm going to install init node project. I'm going to be using node. I think I'm just going to make just a little bit of pseudocode. And I'll drop that in here in a second. So that'll be my second step. Then actually what I'm going to do is I think when I spin up this project, I'll add ingest. And again, I think the different test cases that we kind of surveyed are going to provide pretty neat, again, it's a coding challenge, so there's kind of neat and tidy cases that we have to meet. So I think I'm actually going to go TDD with jest. Now, to answer the question you just asked, Jackson, is what I could do is, so again, TDD with jest, I might actually just drop in these test cases because I might also, write all the test cases to kind of imagine all possible cases. But when it comes down to it, actually computing the final answer, what I think I'll do actually is I'm going to copy this just as a text file. So this will be, let's call it input.txt. It's like 1,000 lines of text. And what I'll do is I'll set up test cases with that, and with my program. So basically, do red light, green light, refactor. I'll set up my test cases. They'll be failing. I'll then implement the actual program to again satisfy those cases, green light, and then we'll kind of go from there. But then to compute the final answer, I think I'll actually make a little CLI app. So, and to do that, there's kind of just two steps involved. So I'll just use the FS module to pull that in from all that data in from this file. And then if we get to it, our stretch goal will be kind of actually have a fully fleshed out Inquire app. So let's see how far we can get into this. All right. So I'm going to start. I'm going to cd into this directory. This is where the magic happens. So I'm going to go ahead and initialize a project, npm init -y. And actually, I think I'm going to go ahead and drop that into day one. So I'm going to cd into day one and have this all working in there. Cool, cool, cool. So I'm going to go ahead and do npm install Typescript save dev. It's going to be a dev dependency up in here. Cool, cool, cool. npx tse init. So I've got that installed. Got my node modules here. But I also I have to basically do what I just did with npm, but with Typescript. I initialize the npm, sort of like the overall project, but I also need to initialize Typescript configurations. So what Typescript is going to do for us is this. So target ES 2016, that's ES6. So we're going to be able to write in ES6 syntax. And as well, we can confirm that because we should see. So target ES 2016. Now, but in our Typescript file, again, there's a lot of different configurations you can have within Typescript. But I think I actually am also going to want to, again, we want to do this in TDD fashion. So I'll also do a just configuration file as well. So for this, it's going to be module.exports. Not what I wanted. Preset ts just test environment. Node. Cool, 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 cool. So before I get too deep into this, actually, I think what I wanted to just clear up in my own head is I want to just pseudocode a little bit here. What this is, what the test cases are, and what this is going to look like. I wonder what. Oh yeah. Now what I would love is if my Markdown previewer would actually work. What's gone wrong here? Let's see. Hey, what's going on here? Let's see. Just real quick. What's going on here? Huh. Because it didn't have this extension. Okay. Fingers crossed. Killing me, Smalls. Oh, it's like it flickered for a second. killing me. Let's see here. Well, don't necessarily need that. Basically, again, pretty much just wanted to write some pseudocode here for what this program is actually going to look like. So, okay, this is what it's going to look like. So it's going to be like some function. It's going to be called like calc calibration sum, you know. And it's basically going to take in these input doc. So ideally, I would like to get to a point where I could just actually read this from the file system. See about that. So it's going to take that in. Oh my god, this markdown reader is killing me. Yee, you've let me down. Come on. Ah, this is killing me. I'm going to reload this real quick. Yeah, so the idea would be these. So there's a new line character. So like this, like I know that there's a character, like a hidden escape character that is basically making each of these lines go to a new line, and it's just a hidden one. So like. For instance, yeah, there you go. So like, like unfortunately, I can't look for like \n in the VS Code uh, find and replace editor guy right here, but yeah, like if there wasn't a hidden new line character, all this text would just be one giant line of just like continuous text. But there is a delimiter here. It's just the hidden new line character. And so that's what I would basically parse delimited by. So actually, let me capture that. So it's going to look like, it's just going to be a big function like this. And, well, first of all, initialize the sum is 0. So, like, there's going to be some sum variable. At the end of it all, it's going to return the sum. And then, yeah, basically in between here, it's basically just going to be like a big long loop. So for each line in the doc, basically each one of them. So this is where it's the kind of crux of the problem here. So again, the first thing to do. So let's imagine like we somehow, some way, we're able to examine each line in a loop structure like this. Figure that out in a second, but yeah, the first thing we want to do on each line is find the first digit. And again, I have an idea. We could basically do that with just regular expressions. That'd be the easiest way. Find second. Not second digit. It's the last one. Yeah, because there could be like a bunch of them. Like this one has like 4 digits. And again, that's achievable just using regular expression. And then basically it's going to concat. They're going to be strings, these 2 digits, but I'm going to need to concat them together and parse int from that. Okay, and so then add that concatenated value on to some running total. And it's going to loop through like that, loop through, loop through, loop through, loop through. And after it goes through each line, then it just returns the sum. And that's pretty much it. That's literally the core of the logic. So, yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about that. So, let me jump into... So yeah, I feel like I have a good roadmap now. Let me... I'm just going to pull up the jest docs real quick. So I'm going to go ahead and create two files here. One is actually going to be the source code for our program that has this kind of this core logic. I'm just going to call that calibration.ts. And I'm also going to make another file for our tests. So this one is, and again, recall these just tests usually are in their own file, and it's basically just the convention is just usually the name of the file dot test dot whatever, because it kind of goes hand in hand with the actual code that it's testing. So it knows that it's a test there. So I think what I need to do as well is we'll go ahead and what I'm going to have to do is add some Babel pre-processing here. So I'm going to go ahead and do npm install at Babel core at Babel preset env save dev. And again, this is just some boilerplate to do essentially just this transpiling using Babel. Jackson, do you remember when an npm package starts with @ symbol? Do you remember what that represents? Yeah, it's just like a brand. Yeah, for real. So what I'm also going to do is, so back in the package JSON, I'm going to set up some scripts for our testing and dev. So right now, if we did npm run test, it would just be this nonsense. But what I want is so test, I'm just going to invoke jest. Again, I can just invoke it. This would be like if I just called jest like from the command line. So I'm just going to alias it like that. But for dev, I'm going to do these two commands. So tsc and so I'm going to compile it, but also so kind of getting ahead of myself here, but basically what Typescript is going to do, the reason why we're just installing Babel and such, is that it's going to create a folder. It's going to create a production build basically of the software that we write. So it's going to go to calibration.js and transpile that to JavaScript and put it in a folder called dist. So I'm going to be able to assume that it ends up in a folder called dist. And I might just call that, well, we'll do TSC for right now. And let's see, what else do we want? So let me get my test file set up now. So I wanted to do TDD fashion. Okay, so we have Babel, we have Typescript. I do actually need to install just now as well. npmi ts jest, and I need the types for jest. So at types jest, save dev. Cool. Okay, let's jump into it here. Yes. So, because I'm just doing dev right now, my end application, unless we go forward to like install Inquirer and things like that, and like create like a CLI app, I actually wouldn't have anything in actual dependencies. Right here. So basically, again, dev dependencies is everything that I use on my local machine, but when I actually go to ship code, that's when like those would actually be like actual dependencies. So if we actually get around to writing a CLI app, then my dependencies would include like for instance, whatever I used to create that CLI app, like Inquire. But yeah, again, right now, this is effectively all just dev dependencies because I'm just on my local machine, just crunching numbers. Okay, so I'm gonna run. Okay, hopefully I didn't get ahead of myself. Let me see what happens. npm run dev. Nope. What happened here? Nope, wrong folder. I should now have everything I need to start writing some tests. All right, so npm run dev. It's going to run Typescript. And let's see here. Actually, what I neglected to do here is, what I'll need to define is this output directory. So basically in my tsconfig, again, what it's going to compile into, it's going to take the actual like ES6 code that I can write, and basically I want to transpile that into what I want. So that's compiler options. So that's where I would set all these different settings and compiler options. There's going to be like a lot of settings in there. What I need to do here, though, is basically define what are the input files, what are the output files. And again, Jackson, you were doing something similar to this when you wrote that landing page where like you had like the CSS preprocessor with Sass, like how there was like an input directory and it's going to translate all those Sass files into actual CSS. So what I want is basically anything that's going to be, and again, there's different conventions for doing this. I think just to follow convention, I'm going to create a directory in here that's called src. I'm going to drop these files in here. But you can see when I ran calibration, when I ran Typescript, it looked inside this folder and translated this Typescript file into, there happened to be nothing going on in here, but it output this kind of production build. Now it just dropped it at the root of the whole folder, which is not what I want exactly. I want it in a dist folder. So, but what I can set up here is, okay, so basically the files that I want to consume, the TypeScript files that I want to consume are going to look like this. They're going to be in src, and then any subdirectories. So those are going to be the ones that are included. So basically anything directly inside src, but also any subdirectories. Yes. Yeah, it's kind of like recursively look inside this directory, and if there's any subdirectories, basically go all the way down. Now, what I also want to do is add exclude in here. And I'm going to definitely want to exclude, it's basically just pattern matching, but anything that's inside node modules. Definitely going to want to not, again, these node modules have all this TypeScript inside them. I don't want to double transpile it. Let's see. Oops. This is what I meant to do. File specification kind of end recursive. I just change it. Node modules. And what am I missing here? Ah, here we go. Okay, cool. So I could also, so what I would maybe also want to include in here is my test files. Well, no, I don't want to exclude my test files because I want to actually translate those. Now, okay, what I need to set though is, so I could target yes. I basically could transpile this into any ECMAScript version that I like. I might actually even, again, I could set it to like ES5. So for instance, if I was writing this JavaScript for the browser, and I wanted to make sure that Windows like Internet Explorer browsers could also see it, like very old browsers, I might actually set this to like ES5. If I want to just be really old JavaScript, compile into really old JavaScript that any old browser could see, but this will be just fine because yeah, I'm just writing this locally. Well, it's going to be, that's the whole beauty of transpilation with Babel, is that it's going to be able to figure out how it could write that old JavaScript, basically the new JavaScript that I wrote in this old syntax, what the equivalent is. Yes. Well, you'd hope so. Usually, and that's the whole magic of transpiling, because it's like writing old code with your new code. That's the magic of Babel. If you're familiar with the Tower of Babel, that was an allegory of how technology can destroy us. But you can think about, again, anyway, in this tsconfig, basically how you can read this is like, okay, this is the input, or sorry, this is the output target. So my output that I output the target is, we could have it ES5, ES6. We'll do ES 2016. That's just the default. Input, I want to have common JS, so I can use like the import syntax, kind of like you would use in exactly how you would use in like React code, things like that. And so target, this is like, again, there's like, you can set like a million different settings, but there's like a bare minimum. So it's basically, what do we want the output to be? What do we want the input to be? I'm looking for strict true. Again, there's some of these other settings that we could, opt in or out of. Type checking. We'll go strict true. What I'm looking for is outdir. Here it is. Okay. So basically just uncomment out this line, and I want to output it. This is kind of the convention, just to output it to a directory called dist. And that's what I was looking for. Yeah, again, like all these configurations, like when you generate a tsconfig file, like all the configurations are going to be there. It's just a matter of kind of going in and activating or deactivating the ones that you want. So now, and again, so that was the reason why, I'm just going to delete this, calibration.js. This got generated when I ran Typescript. I'm just going to delete that. But instead, calibration test, delete this too. So again, all we have going on here is these configuration files, source. Let me fire up that dev script again. Ensure that works. Again, it's just going to be invoking like the Typescript CLI. Okay, so create a dist, calibration, yes, cool. So now what I can do is, again, kind of beginning with the end in mind, what I would want this dev script to do is, ideally I'd want it to kind of like run the whole app. So I'd want it to do the compilation, and then actually just run that file that gets created. Right now there's nothing in there, but what it would amount to is just running node dist, the file that's in there. And maybe I'll do, when I write a little app that I want to run. Again, right now this calibration.js, I think what I'll keep this for is, again, I'm already kind of separating things out in my file structure. So like calibration.js, I think I'll just keep this, the actual core logic itself, but any of the other CLI stuff that uses that, we'll put it in here. And again, those will get compiled together. Boom. Okay, cool. Okay, now what I want to do is, all right, a lot of configuration. But what I want to focus on right now is the calibration test. and the oops, what did I do here? I want this to be well, no, I want this to be a JavaScript file. Again, it's kind of like I could use TypeScript on both the source code itself and the tests, which is what I want to do. So I incorrectly labeled this as it's going to be a JavaScript file. It should actually be a TypeScript file. So what I get started here with is basically I'm going to dig these up side by side. So here's my source code that I'm going to write. Here's my test file. So what I'm actually going to start by doing is, again, it's going to compile, yes, take in module syntax. So yeah, I have free reign to now use. I don't have to. I'm not restricted by the the old way of the old Node syntax. I can use new language features. So I'm just gonna start by doing export function, and I'm gonna call this calculate calibration sum. And then we mocked this up. Okay, it's gonna output. Now I'm writing TypeScript though, so it's gonna have an input. It's gonna have an output, and so basically it's going to input something. I'm going to call it document. I could call it, strings. I'm just going to call it document. It's like a variable name. But this is where the TypeScript starts. So it's going to be a string type. So colon, whatever the variable name, and colon type. And as well, this is the name of the function, colon, output type for the function is going to be a number. Body of the function. So, and it's going to so what I can actually start with is, again, if you remember from that pseudocode, this is all going to start with declaring a sum and kind of mutating the variable as the program goes along. Yes. So, and I'm going to return that as well. And now, before this was kind of angry because this function wasn't returning anything of a number type. You can see it says function whose declare type is neither void nor any must return a value. Yeah, we could do it like this as well. So we have this function now. Okay, before we get too far into it, again, we want to do red light, green light refactor. So, but bare minimum, we have this function declared. So now I'm actually going to come over to the test file, and here I can import this function for testing from calibration. So we got that importing. Cool. And here's where I could actually start running my tests. So in the test, Jackson, you remember AAA testing? Remember that? Yeah. That's the last one, yes. But yes. So first we have to arrange some tests. So I'm actually going to grab that from. We'll just use these. Some simple test cases. Again, what they're telling us is the final output. They're basically giving us the answers here. This is where the rubber meets the road. So I'm going to arrange a test case here. I'm going to call it let example doc. And what I might do is, let's see, I might, well, okay, so there, I'm running into, oh, I could actually, so this is where it gets a little janky because the format in which I was given this data is tab separated, or excuse me, new line separated, but new line characters are going to break my actual code. So I'm actually going to just wrap this in, I'll just wrap this in a string literal, so I can literally put this in my source code, this example. Like imagine if they gave me this as a txt file, and it has like this new line character. So I'm just going to wrap that in a template literal, just so it doesn't actually like break my actual code. Okay, so that's my first A. Arrange. Second one is what? Arrange, act, assert. Triple A. Well, okay, so recall how jest works is I don't have to like import jest up here. It's just like the command line, and it's just going to be smart enough to know that what I'm writing here is jest code. See, it even knows right here. It just knows. But basically, so assert, these jest assertions, they basically, again, it's going to be like when we format a test suite, there's going to be test, there's going to be like the name of the test. So I'm going to call this test, it's basically like the expected behavior that I'm expecting. It's going to calculate, this is just in my own words, I'm describing this. Calculate the sum of a list of calibration values. And again, it's going to be given to us in this format. And to have it in our test file, we happen to just have to place it right here because it like uses these new line characters. So that's our test. So this is arrange, act. So the act is when we would use this expect. In this case, the arrange and act, they are kind of like happening in the same step. But the assert, so the act is actually invoking this function on this input. And the assertion is, again, remember Jest has all these assertion kind of methods. So to be. So what was this? Do you remember what this example was? The output from that was supposed to be? Yeah, the sum of that test case they gave us was 140. Yeah, in this little mini example, it was 142. The number 142. Right. So yes, so oops, got it. So like the test takes in two things: the written description of the test, and then a callback function that has the actual logic of the test. Okay, almost there. So now, so let's just start with this. Let me actually. Nice, nice, nice. Okay, so what I'm gonna have to do is for test, what I want it to do is actually compile. So what I want it to do is TSC and then run jest. And if my jest config is right, this may crash and burn, but basically the idea is that I want it to compile my jest code that's written in TypeScript and then actually run it. Let's see. npm run test. So let's see what happened here. So compiled that into JavaScript. Then what went wrong? Do I have jest installed? ts jest. Command not found. Let's see here. Do I need to, did I not install, let's see. I didn't install all the just relevant things that I needed. So what I need is, yeah, I didn't install jest. Like I have the types for jest. I have ts jest. I don't actually have jest core. So npm install. Well, there's your problem. Save def. Cool, cool, cool. So again, I shouldn't necessarily have to even like look inside what's going on in dist. I should just be able to basically live inside my source code and my test file. I think I may need to fine tune my just config, but yeah, at this point, so if I run npm run test, here we go. Yes, failed. Now I think actually yes. So I missed this piece. I spoke too soon. So in tsconfig, I actually want to also ignore my tests. That's what I missed. That's what I missed. So exclude anything that basically wildcard anything that ends with .test .ts. See how like it compiled it. So basically, I actually don't necessarily. So jest can just run my TypeScript file. I actually don't need to compile it. So I shot myself in the foot there. See how it like it tried to run both tests. Again, always good to double. Yeah, not necessary. But yes, red light. So we got a red light. Yeah, so actually, it's like running the test twice, just duplicate. So, but now it's, so actually, I think I'm just gonna do for my dev script. Actually, don't think I need this. I'll just run just. And I can invoke just with like a watch script. But I think out of the box, if I don't tell it to do anything else, it will just be watching. Yeah, no worries. Okay, so what I was missing here. So actually, don't necessarily need to. So basically, I can just write my tests in TypeScript. This is what I was going for. Basically, again, I can say what tests files do I want to run, what tests files do I want to avoid. So actually, I don't need to compile. I should not need to compile my tests. I can just write them in TypeScript, and then yes. One thing I'm still trying to figure out is, so yes, red light. We failed. That's what we wanted, because we actually haven't implemented the logic yet. Because recall, again, all that's going on in here is this nonsense right here. So it's just returning a single value. And what I would like this to do is just watch and not just exit out. See, it's running the test, but then it's just exiting. So I'm trying to remember, and basically not exit its process. And then we officially have our dev environment set up the way we want it to. So I basically wanted to have it in watch mode. Yeah, it's just the watch flag. we can exit out whenever we're done. Yes. Okay. This is what I wanted. Yep. Yes. Perfect. Perfect. That's what I was missing. Okay. Whew. All right. So and then I can also tell it. I can tell it to run all the. I'll just say run all the tests again. Okay. 1 out of 1. Failing. And that's what we wanted. All right. So red light, green light, refactor. So what do we need to do, basically, to get this to equal 142? This is where the magic happens. So again, it's going to involve using some regular expressions. So again, something like this is going to be inbound into this function. It's this guy right here. We're not using it right now. So let's go ahead and split it via the new line characters. So it's just document.split. We're just doing string manipulation now. And what I want to see is yeah, I want it to be new line separated. So let's confirm. Okay. So this is actually this failed, but now for a different reason, for an actual TypeScript error. So basically, I can confirm it's going to be an array of strings, but this function is not supposed to. It's not reporting back. Usually, sometimes it'll report that error like, "Hey, I got this, and I was expecting this." But it's actually now it actually threw a type error. So, but I just wanted to confirm that real quick that this is going to work for us. So what I could also do is actually I could also do some more logging. And there's other options for that. There's a little bit more of a slick way to do this, but I'll just drop it in like this. So that's rerunning. Boom. Okay. So I know up in here I have this array, and it's, again, despite the fact that, like, in this example, this is these new line characters are invisible. I can identify that this new line character with the escape sequence \n, and that's working. So now I have a list of them actually ingested into my TypeScript that I can now actually perform that logic on each one of them. So can you remember what we wanted to happen kind of on each one? Yeah, so we could write like a for loop. We could also do for each on this. That was going to be my, yeah, that'd be easiest. Because it's like, we want to perform some, for each comes into clutch when we want to perform some action on a list of things. But then after each one of those actions, we're going to be mutating the sum. We're going to be like incrementing it or doing whatever what it is that we need to do. But, so that's, yeah, for each It's going to be my go-to. I'm going to say for each, like each line in the doc, like in the document, you feel me? Because again, for each consumes a callback, and we just need to say what it is, each iterable thing. So on each one of these lines, we want to extract the digits, right? So I'm going to call this digits. And, okay, so the thing about it is, again, we're looking at each one of these. If we rerun this. Okay, again, each one of these, again, we need to find our pseudocode. Remember, pseudocode is find first digit, find last digit. Okay, so we can do this with regular expressions. And do you remember off the top of your head what the regular expression for like a number, to extract a number, would be? So we just need to we're going to use match. That's a string. So dot match string array method matches a string with a regular expression, and then we just pass in a regular expression, and it looks like this. So like 2 forward slashes. Again, like the whole magic with regular expressions is that it's a self-contained syntax for pattern matching. So basically what it will look like is it's like some pattern between 2 forward slashes, and then it will end with like G for global. Like usually you'll see G because it'll say like, all right, throughout this entire sort of input, we could look throughout the entire input. You could also you could end it with .I, and that's like if it's like case insensitive. So that's kind of the configuration with doing a regular expression. We'll do .g because we want to look like throughout the entirety of the thing. But then the way to write, all right, regular expression like return match me a digit is \d. So that's like the digit. Yeah, it's saying like find me the digits throughout this input that I'm gonna supply. And again, you can get fancy. You could say like the find me the first digit, find me the last digit, find me digits only like between 4 and 9, stuff like that. You can get very fancy. But I just want to find the digits, and basically, well, okay, first of all, this is going to be our first case because again, like what if we had a case that there were no digits? Like we can see like up in here, this has no digits. So I actually first need to like check that to begin with. So I'm just gonna have a conditional. So match is just returns true or false. If it even has, so what this is gonna do is it's gonna check, does this string even have digits anywhere inside? And I'm just capturing that as a Boolean right now. But actually, what I might want to do is, because I want to capture them as a list. And so, for instance, if there were like 5 digits, I might want to capture that into an array. So basically, and sorry, I did miss. There's different regex string methods. I misspoke. Match actually, okay, it's going to extract the value that it matched and pull that into an array. So right now this is, so it actually, and just actually has kind of subtly different behavior depending on these cases that we need to cover. So yeah, so if it finds a match, it's going to extract that value and fill an array with each value that it finds in sequence. But if it finds no match, it actually returns null. So okay, so what we actually have to account for here is, this is our very first case. What if it actually has no digits? And so I could do this. So this would be like, if it does have digits, do something. But right now, all this is going to do is sum starts at 0. If it doesn't have any digits, it does nothing and then returns sum. So, and that's actually what we want, because for instance, if found no digits, then it would be 0, right? Like the sum of finding no digits would be 0. So actually, I want to capture that case right now. I do actually want to capture that case. So what I would do is, I want to capture the case, you know, that it's 0. So I do something like, okay, so this I'm going to call correctly. I'm going to add a couple other test cases in here, though. I'm going to add 2 more. So there's a couple of cases we need to account for. So one, an even more basic case is handle empty document. Right? Like, what if like this document was just literally like an empty string? Like, then that would be, what would the output? What output should I expect? Well, I might actually want. Yeah, so the prompt actually doesn't tell us, like, should it throw an error if you know, if I wrote some application. So I'm just gonna say it'll send 0. And that would be the case where I think I'm actually gonna move, because we're gonna be dealing with 3 different cases. 3 different examples. So here's this example. But yeah, like, what if the example was, let example equal empty string? We want that to be 0. Now, so that's kind of like the most basic. I'll put that at the top. So that's going to run. Oh, and I have some things not closed up here. Well, I'll just jump to this case. So the second most basic example is This is the case that we were just talking about. It's basically going to doc with no digits. It's going to be 0. Yeah, exactly. And again, that could look like a couple different things. It could be an empty string. It could also be just like a one-liner, like ABC, XYZ. You know what I mean? Like it could just be one line. It could also be ABC, XYZ, CDE, QWR. So like it could, this, so in this example, this would be, it'd be a document like this with it just happens to have these 2 lines, but neither of them have neither of them have digits, and what we would expect the output to be is 0. So in this case, this is maybe like a faulty document. We'd want to give us a 0. We could also mock up an error, like maybe we'd want our application to like throw an error, and we would expect that. We could also account for that in our test. But this is, so right now, this case should be handled. Document with no digits. Red light, green light. Refactor. Okay, so those are kind of the basic cases. But now let's actually get into the actual interesting cases, right? The reason why we came here. These elves are they're getting impatient with us, Jackson. Okay, so what this is going to look like is, so I actually wanted to give me back an array, because if there are digits, oh, we can actually see it right here. So like, yeah. Okay, well, in this case, it did actually return 0 because we didn't do anything. I'm actually gonna move this log down here. So now we're trying to get this to turn green. And again, I have my just running watch. It's gonna rerun this. I could have it just rerun the failing test if I wanted to, but basically, yeah, it's just hot reloads. Okay. So, and actually, just for speed, only run failed tests. Okay. Right now I'm just logging out digit 7. Okay. So what we can do is, okay, we need to handle the case where, this is where it gets, there's a couple, now we're in the realm of cases that actually have digits. So there could be, we need ones with 2 or more digits. Those are the ones that we're actually going to start like summing things together. But basically, to actually just to handle for like these empty ones, I think what I'm actually going to do is, so it's either going to have digits, or what I'm going to do is it'll be an empty string or empty array. So if this isn't, if this is null, it'll fall back to empty array. Again, that has to do with like the annoyingness of just this match string method, that it like has a value or it's null. So I'm just handling for this annoying behavior. Yeah. So I'm just gonna normalize it like this. So if there aren't any, that's just going to equate to an empty array. But what I'll do now is this is my conditional statement. Basically, what I want to so this is digits. It's going to have an array. So I can access the length. So if the length, don't do any summing unless the length is greater than or equal to 2. Because we need 2 digits because we're going to be creating 2-digit numbers, right? And so that should output from this example, this one. So there should only be 3 in this array. So this last one, trebuchet, was not in there. This one only has 1 digit. Oh, yes! No, you're right. Yes. Good catch, Jackson. Yeah, so basically, if there's 1 digit, yeah, I missed that point. Yes, so that gets counted twice. Yes. Okay. No, you're totally right. Okay. Yes. Okay, so again, this is where it gets tricky because this condition is actually not necessarily sufficient for what we're trying to do here. So what I might actually do is I might actually write like a helper function to extract digits and then just dispatch that on each. Basically, I'm going to pull this logic out. And I'm actually just going to do another helper function. I'm going to call this extract digits. Okay, so what this is going to take in is it's going to take in a line. That's a string. Okay, this is where, okay, so I think this is going to solve this problem. So what extract digits is going to return is a 2-element array of strings. So in all cases, it's going to return this. And so we can use that to our advantage. This function doesn't return anything yet. Okay, so I'm going to paste that logic back in there. And what I do is something like I'm going to make this an if-else. So if it's true that I'm actually going to pull these digits. I'm going to log it right here. So, okay. This is going to handle for the case of 1 of like a case like this. Or a case of, you know, if it was 2 empty ones. So basically, okay, so basically, again, recall, oops, what happened here? Let's see, what I want is, so this is failing to compile because this is throwing a type error, so I just need to do return digits. And actually, what I might want to do is, I want this to be a 2, see, it's throwing this error. It's not assignable to string. So what I might want to do is you do something like something like this. I'm just going to let's see, what I wanted is what's gone around here. I think I'm just going to override this for just a quick second. And that's not going to compile. Oops. And oh, there you go. Okay. So the idea is that this fallback, I'll do kind of like an if else. So basically, if this does not match, so if it's the case of say like it doesn't find any numbers in the array, it would actually return this. This will be kind of like our fallback. Now if I move this in here, it's going to throw me an error. So what I will have to do is, because immediately now it's, in this case, it could, see, function lacks return statement, return type does not include undefined. So like there could be a case where this would be undefined. Just for right now, I had that at the bottom. But now what I actually want to do is return here. And let's have it do the following. Let's have it go into digits array. Basically access. So this is the kind of the really crux of the matter. This is where we're gonna be able to access the first and last element. So it's an array. So how do we access like the first element of an array? Yeah. So it would just, that would be the value. That's the first element. How do we access the last element of an array now? We could pop it, but actually, well, we know the length of the array, right? Because arrays come with prepackaged with this property .length, right? We were already using that right here. But zero-based, but all programmers start counting from zero, right? So if the length of this array if it has 4 elements, and if I try to access the 4th index, what would happen? Yeah, there'd be one more, right? So what do I have to do here? Again, there's yeah, yes, yes, and then it will just return that. But so I'm kind of screwing myself over here though, because I'm gonna run into a problem. So basically, this is only handling for the case of, well, let's see if we got a green light. I think I'm gonna get a type error though. So yeah, it's gonna be because I wrote it like this, kind of using this kind of if-else syntax, there's the possibility that, again, this is why TypeScript is intended to find these bugs before they even happen, prevent these kinds of bugs. So there could be a situation where this is actually a string or undefined, the 0th element. So what I might have to do is, because it could be an empty array, I might, so I'm kind of already handling for this right here. I want to see if, see. Now I've kind of moved the goalpost because there's a possibility that could be null. So I need a handle for that case. Yes. We're not out of the woods yet because there's the chance that it could just be 1. So I'm going to change this to 1, actually. But now I think that's not going to... Yeah. Okay, so the 0th element. So what we could do here is... Again, we're trying to grapple with kind of 3 cases at once. We're trying to handle the case of no elements, if there was just no digits, 1 digit, or more than 1 digit. So we could do kind of like if else, if else, if else. Let's try something like that. So else if basically we have 3 cases we need to account for. So if it's greater than 2. So again, in the case of there's just 1 digit, we have to take into account, right, this repeat. So we could basically just change this back to return. So this is where we would have that double up action. But in where we have more than 1, we'd want it to be this. Let's see. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, okay, okay. Nope. Okay, what happened? Yes, but we're running into... Well, it's throwing this type error. And, yeah, well, first of all, we would be dispatching it right down in here. Because what it's going to do is, we can even do destructuring here. So it's going to return an array of 2 elements. It's going to be the first and last when we invoke this function on each line. So, but we still haven't even got this far because this is still throwing a type error. We're so close. I think this does it, but TypeScript is trying to prevent the situation where it's yeah, I'm trying to, yeah, basically we're gonna run into the situation where, again, like it's anticipating that this could be a situation where there is no 0th element. So I think what I might actually my thoughts exactly. So if that doesn't fix it, I think I actually might, instead of that, I think I might actually have to check if that it exists again, it's TypeScript, man. Again, it's preventing errors before they could even occur. But still no dice. Let's see, what went wrong here? Again, this pipe is saying, like, it could be string, it could still be string or undefined. So I need to ensure that it exists and is defined before I can access the 0th element. So what can we do here? I might do something like this. I'm going to check that that exists, is defined. Cool, cool, cool. Cool, cool, cool. Okay. So basically, I just need to check that that it is defined such that I can access here. Yeah, this could have no in. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep. Typescript. Okay, but still failing. So it's still failing, yes. And why is it still failing, though? It's still failing because... I'm actually going to move this log. We can get more insight here. Okay, so basically... Oh, okay. It's failing. Okay, well, now we actually have this helper function sorted out. We give it each line, extracts an array of the first and last digit. Whew. Okay. If in the case of, if there's just one digit, it's going to double up. In the case of it's like empty, it's going to return 0, 0. Okay. And so now what we can do here is boom. Here we can actually do the math. And what it's going to look like is I'm going to use this plus equals operator. Okay, but here's the problem. So again, kind of like what we're hinting at here, it's an array of 2 strings. So what do we have to do with those strings? Yeah. So what we could do is, I might just do a string literal, parse int, template literal. I destructured the first and last right here. But what I could do is, so it's going to be a string. And I'm formatting it as a 2-digit string. Last. Yes. Oops. I can just template literal it together. Boom. 2-digit string. Parse all that on each line and add that as this is the rolling sum. So as it goes through each line, yeah. Okay, but okay, it's doing something for us. Why did it return 132? Let's see here. What did I miss here? So why is it 10 off? Well, I could do 2-digit num. I'm just gonna like log this out. This expression. I'm gonna add this to the rolling sum. but I'm also going to just log this out to kind of see the constituent pieces. I mean, I could even do something like this. This might actually be more helpful to me. I'm going to do let, I'm going to call it nums to sum. That's just going to be an empty array. I'm just going to push. So I'm actually going to do it like this. Nums to sum. I'm going to log that. But each step I'm going to nums to sum dot push this 2-digit num that gets parsed out. Nums to sum. Nums to sum. So what I might actually do is I'll initialize it with yeah, I'll do kind of like a rolling sum like that. Again, if it's just the empty array, through this type error that it could be any type. Like I could end up accidentally pushing anything to it, and so anyway, Typescript. Yeah, Jackson, we're seeing like it's like we're presenting these two impediments to each other. We're using TypeScript, so we're enforcing these types. Again, we're by using TypeScript by itself, we're preventing like 80-90% of errors that could occur to begin with. We're also doing TDD, so it's like we're giving ourselves two sets of hoops to jump through for the greater good. It's for the greater good. Again, the elves, we don't want to let them down. Okay, but okay, we're still getting this red error. So what? Why are we getting 132 here when we would expect 134? 10 up. Okay, I think I see. Okay, so this is 77. 1133. Well, wait a second. This should be like 38. It should be this list of numbers. 12. So I think I'm pulling the wrong index. We see. I'm actually, it's still doubling up. So what went wrong with this helper function? Oops. Okay. I should actually just switch these. So like this should happen first. See, like all of the cases are hooking into. They're all going to be more than one. So basically, it should check if they're all more than two first, because that's more restrictive. That was the problem. Red light. And then it's kind of like, this is like the general case, special case, special case. So it's like most of the time I would expect, you know, it's like these are the two special cases we need to account for. Ooh-wee. Green light. Green light. Got him. Nice, man. And it's passing these 3 tests. Sick. All right, dude. Well, see, all right, so this is where, again, we front-loaded all this kind of nonsense. So now, actually, again, the whole point is to process this whole list. So we went to the trouble of kind of battle testing our code. We front-loaded all that nonsense. So now, actually, I am going to. Now we can just point it directly at this document. Yeah, this document that we have to process, and it should have accounted for all of that. So we don't need to guess and check. We checked beforehand, right? We went to all this trouble beforehand to use TypeScript, to use TDD. So now, yeah, basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to add a file. I'm going to call it read and calc. And it's gonna invoke the file system. So what I'm gonna do is, and actually, I don't need to be running Typescript anymore. I don't need to be running my dev. I'm not gonna be running my test script because we already did our tests. Instead, now what I want to do is, okay, I'm gonna this script is gonna be it's basically gonna read from the file system, run this function, and then yeah, we could have it do whatever. We could have it like, I think just for right now, I'm just gonna have a console log. So I just need to import read file. Well, okay, from fs. From fs, I'm gonna import read file sync. And again, that's just when I installed the types for Node, that's what's going to allow me to basically use these built-in the FS module basically. Put that over there. So I just need the FS module. I'm going to call it. Now we're just running a terminal script here. I'm going to call this read from file and calc. Okay, this is going to be a function. I'm going to give it file path as a string. Remember, this is still TypeScript. I'm just going to have it return the number. This number, whatever it produces. Ooh, and actually, let me, yeah, because again, yeah, this is going to return a sum, right? Returns, boom, number. Okay, so basically, is this string, it's got to go up a directory to input.txt. Cool. I'm going to call this final sum. And that it just is going to basically just be constituted of running this function that's going to read, dispatch this function, and return it. And then that just takes in the path. Remember, it takes the file path. And then it's going to output here. I'm just going to console log it here. Again, I had this idea that we could maybe use Inquirer to, maybe the Inquirer CLI app we could write would be like, all right, which file do you want to input? And then it would present that in kind of a nice, fancy way. This will work for right now. So I'll say final sum for calibration doc. I'm just going to write a nice little, just a nice little template literal. Equals just a happy little template literal. Okay, but yeah, equals. Okay, so now we have to invoke. I'm gonna have to import from calibration this file. This function's getting exported, right? That's how the test file was writing it. Just unpack it right here. Okay, so okay, I'm going to use read file sync, and with that I can use try catch. I don't have to write a promise with like dot then dot catch because it's just baked into this function. It's like using async await. So yeah, I can just write a try catch block here. Error. If there's like some failure reading from the file system. Error reading file. I could just like log that out. But what this is going to be doing is it's going to be pulling document data. I'm going to call it read file sync. That takes in a file path. I pass that into the function file path. Then I need to tell it the encoding. Yeah, and it's even giving me hints right here. I need to tell it the that it's UTF encoding. See, like all these, it could be all these different encoding types. It's just a text document with UTF characters. But in theory, it could be whatever kind of crazy, wacky input. But I know that it's a text input with Unicode encoding, Unicode 8 encoding. So that's how it's going to be parsed. And that's basically like it's like await, but I don't have to write async await. So it's going to be awaiting. Whenever it's done, I can just return invoking this function on the document data. And number lacks ending return. Oh, because I'm just gonna, if this errors, I'm just gonna throw an error. Typescript was bugging me that in theory, if it threw an error, like this function's not gonna be returning a number anymore. So I'm just gonna throw an error altogether. Dude, yeah, that's, well, yeah, man, yeah, like, it's to, again, it's front loading this, all this fun, right? So that we don't spend all of it, again, like, we're front loading all this time and effort so that we don't spend way more time as we write our code. Yeah, exactly. So now, Jackson, in theory, I'm actually going to do, I'm just going to call this, oh, I need to compile it, but, for right now, actually, I'll just do it like this. I called this read and calc. I don't have a CLI file yet. I'm just going to call it read and calc. I don't have a CLI app yet, but I need to compile it, then run it with Node. Nope. I ran test. npm run dev. Let's see here. Okay. It's because it's trying to read input. No such file, input.txt, input.txt. Let's see what went wrong here. So we ran that dist. This is the relative path. What went wrong here? I might just put this in. Let's see if I just put it in this file. The relative path, it's in the same folder. Nope. What happened here? Did I spell this right? input.txt, path, file path, input.txt. Come on, buddy. So close. Nope, nope, nope. What happened here? Oh, okay. if I ran, okay, if I CD'd like from the terminal, if I CD'd into this folder, then that would be the correct relative path. But because I'm running the npm script from the root of the project, that's that ends up being the it's relative to basically the package JSON. Yeah. So now this should work. Oh yeah, yeah. I actually just ran into that the other day. Stupid mistake. We only make those once or twice. But now, yeah. So again, it's because I prepared this as an npm dev script, so that changes the file pathing basically. Anyway, so that's why this works now because it's at the root. I could put it in like another folder, data, like just so they're everything's nice and tidy. Hey, but oh, what did we get there? 56,506. Yeah, dude. All right. Only one way to find out. Hey, got the star. Got him. Nice. And again, we front loaded all that work, but again, it may have taken the same amount of time or longer if yeah, again, you could imagine for another project or another program we were trying to write, we could have ended up getting bogged down in some dumb error that we weren't necessarily seeing in our code until we started like tracing through and console logging everything and yada yada yada. But no, because we front loaded all that work, we were more confident that yeah, our program would just work the first time, and it did. Yeah, basically type safety. It makes JavaScript type safe. So again, prevents 80% of errors. 90% of errors are type errors. Um, but also it's able to transpile into other forms of JavaScript that we want. So we can use those are the two big ones that we can basically use the latest and greatest JavaScript syntax, like, like module imports syntax like that. Um, yeah, and it'll work for us. Yeah, and it's, I mean, like in theory, you could write just JavaScript in a TypeScript file, and that would work. So it's kind of nice because you can kind of pick and choose. But yeah, insofar as yeah, as soon as you start to try and interact with other things, it'll start enforcing the types and throwing you type errors, and it'll be able to anticipate errors before they even happen. So yeah, it really adds a lot. And yeah, kind of paves a straight and narrow path for you as the developer. So, phew. All right. Well, thanks to everyone. If there were any, was anyone tuning in? Anyone dropping? Wait, really? Well, wow. It was just me dropping in and out. Awesome. Yeah. Thanks everyone for who tuned in for tuning into the stream. I will. So I've activated basically preserving streams. So it's like a default setting that yeah, because that's what allows you to then import it into YouTube. So I might actually yeah, after once that's all set up, I have to it's janky because you have to verify your account before you can upload long YouTube videos. So I have to verify it first, then I can import, the long stream from Twitch. So it'll be kind of in two places, but yeah, anyone tuning in to watch this, yeah, thanks for joining us. And I will be pushing this code up to the repo so you can check this out. But otherwise, yeah, be sure to check out. I will also be doing a full write up at blog.n.codes. So be sure to check that out as well. And yeah, hopefully looking forward to yeah, every day in December chugging through these prompts. So advent of TypeScript, baby. All right, I think we'll call it there.